It wasn't until he opened the gift box his wife had given him, and saw the death notice inside, that the man realized how terribly wrong he had been. It turned out that the man had been pursuing his wife since high school, for a full 10 years, every weekend bringing her sunflowers, finally unlocking the chains around her heart, and marrying her. But less than 3 years into their marriage, the woman discovered her husband had started acting just like her father, straying off course, and her heart broke, regretting not having listened to her mother, who had always advised her not to give up her career even after starting a family. Determined, she made up her mind to leave her husband quietly, on their wedding anniversary in 7 days, thus fulfilling her mother's last wish. So she went to the frozen lab where her mother once worked, planning to become an experimental subject herself. Then she placed the death notice in the gift box, claiming it was a surprise for her husband, telling him to open it on their anniversary. Her husband had no doubts. Instead, he eagerly awaited their 3rd anniversary, but little did he know, his wife was already planning her departure, having packed up all her belongings, and marking the first X on the calendar, ready to disappear completely in 7 days. The reason for her resolute decision to leave was because her husband, who had once pampered her like a queen, had secretly given his mistress a grand proposal. Seeing the diamond ring on her lover's finger, the woman's heart was pierced with pain, and she couldn't help but recall the moment 5 years ago, when she first agreed to date her husband. He had promised to love her with all his heart, but the most heart-wrenching part was when she opened the ring her husband had given her, and found it was the same one her lover was wearing. She never expected her husband would show no regard for their marriage, not only inviting his mistress to be the brand ambassador, but even watching her live stream while his wife was wearing her wedding dress, listening to the mistress thank her boyfriend during the stream, mentioning the weekly habit of receiving sunflowers. Even her friends had noticed something odd, and when the mistress talked about the romantic gestures her boyfriend had made for her, the woman couldn't bear it any longer, and collapsed on the floor. Her husband, seeing this, still carried her back to the car, but on the way, he answered a phone call, and suddenly decided to leave her on the side of the road, telling her to take a taxi back. The woman knew instantly it was the mistress calling. She followed him with her best friend in tow, and saw him stop in front of a building. A girl in a red dress rushed out, and her husband allowed her to cling to him. The two of them danced like lovers in the falling snow. The woman's heart was torn, as she recalled how her mother had also been abandoned by her husband, and how this experience had shaped her deep resistance to men. Even though she had never lacked suitors, she refused to accept any of them, until she met her husband, who had persistently pursued her from high school to graduation, and even into the workplace, winning her heart in the end. But after just over 2 years of marriage, her husband chose to go astray. With 7 days left, the man would finally realize just how badly he had messed up when he saw the death notice inside the gift box.